If you look at the sort of business as usual, nothing happens path, you're looking at increases in temperature in the 4.1 to 4.8 degree range by the end of the century. If you look at the best assessments of the INDCs collectively, that's coming down to somewhere in the range of 2.7 degrees. So that's not enough, that's not sufficient, but that's a dramatic change in the trajectory of global emissions. That's point one. Point two is, when we went into Paris, that was the anchor, the process of INDCs. And the question was, could we build a framework around that would point toward greater ambition and greater CO2 reductions over time? And I think that if you look at what came out of Paris, I would respectfully challenge quite aggressively your notion that nothing changed and all the old divisions remained. I think that on three important metrics, things changed fundamentally. The first is ambition. This agreement could well have moved over the course of 2 weeks into a low ambition, lowest common denominator agreement. And instead what you saw over the course of those 2 weeks was an increasing drumbeat toward greater ambition. You saw countries like Brazil, my friend Luis just walked in, joining with small island states and others in the G77 along with developed countries in what came to be known as the High Ambition Coalition. And you see reflected in the agreement a very ambitious vision for where the country needs to go. The second is durability. And there was a concern that what Paris would do would be to just set a very broad framework with the hopes that we would see subsequent action. And instead what you've seen is binding requirements that will allow countries and actors across the global community to push for greater ambition. We have 5-year review targets. We have a global stocktake that will begin in 2018. We have a default of no backsliding and a default of countries doing the most ambitious approach they can take. And on transparency, we have a system that will be applicable to all countries with binding requirements to do inventories, reporting, and review. And that's something that we've never had before. So is it sufficient? Is this agreement sufficient to save the planet? I don't think that anybody would argue that, but is it the best chance that we've had? And does it reflect what I would argue, a sea change in the way that the global community is thinking about how to go about addressing this crisis? I think absolutely.
And